Hello, hello, this is Rod, Live Within Your Means. Hey, we all want pure water to drink. And this is the water that we drink most of the time. My wife bought this water filter, and I filter it, and I pour it in this apple juice jar, and I just keep this in the fridge. And I fill this up every day. So there's some somewhat purified water, right? We have to buy those filters. And I don't think it's the purest water in the world, but my wife likes it. And sorry if my hair is a mess and everything today, but that's what we drink. So, anyhow, that water, I'll put that in the fridge. And it's pretty good to drink. You know, we've got pretty good water here in Pleasant Grove, Utah. But what about the purest water there is, distilled water? Now, we buy distilled water for my mother for her oxygen machine, her CPAP or BiPAP machines. And distilled water, you've got to buy it at the store. Now, we're close by to stores. We've got Walmart and other stores nearby. It doesn't take too much to get it. But what if you need distilled water and don't have it? What if you need it for any other reason? You can make it at home very easily, and I'm going to show you how. So I'm filling this sink right here with cold water, and I'm going to put some cold water in the other sink here too, and I'm going to show you how to make this very easily. And I say make it, but really what it is you're just distilling water. You're getting all the impurities out of the water. So let's move it over to this one. I think I've probably got enough cold water in there. Yeah. And I'm going to put some cold water in here too. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this big pan and I'm going to put this in here. And here's the lid for it. We'll keep on putting some cold water in that sink. And I'm going to show you how we're going to make our own distilled water. Let me back this off a little bit. Now you see over here I've got a pressure cooker. And this pressure cooker right here is something a lot of people have in their homes. And on the top of the pressure cooker is a little weight, right? All you need to do is take a butter knife and pull this off. It just pries right up and you can just pull it off. So, underneath that is a place where the steam all comes out. And what I got down at the thrift store for a whopping $1 was a latex tube. And I've already rinsed this out. And what I did, this is, believe it or not, it's so funny. Got enough water in there. This was actually in a package for 99 cents at the thrift store. And what it is, it's a resistance band from beachbody.com. This was in the package with it. Look at this. Thrift store, not whopping 99 cents. And it had these ends on. And what I did is I just took a pair of scissors and I snipped the ends off, just like this. Just use scissors and I cut the end right off, right? Don't want to make it much shorter than it already is. And then we go over to our pressure cooker. See if I can zoom in there enough to show you this. But maybe I'll actually take this over so you can see. And when you take the weight off on your pressure cooker, that little thing is only about 1/4 inch in diameter, maybe a little bit more than that. And you just stick that right on there. Okay, now what I'm going to do, let me show you. See if I can point this down enough to the sink. There we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get out, look at this, a skillet, an iron skillet. And I'm going to take this latex tube that's a little over 4 feet long. I'm going to shove it through the handle of the skillet. Isn't that funny? And I'm going to put it through. Let me back off a little bit more so you can see a little better here. And then I'm going to put it back up through. There we go. Oh, that water is starting to boil and come through that already. So I'm going to have to show you this kind of quick. This is to hold this tube down in that cold water because as that steam goes through the tube, it actually starts condensing. So I've got water in there. I put water in the pressure cooker, about a half gallon of water in there, and it's starting to get hot in here. And I'm going to bring that up through. Hopefully you can see this. Yeah. Run up through the handle on this red pan, and then put it down under the lid, and just put the lid on here. Now this pan is floating just a little bit, and that's okay. It just needs to cool down, and that's why I've got this down in the sink. Now you could have a much longer tube, and that would certainly get it going a lot faster. There we go. So here we are. We have got a still set up, because what this is doing is it's distilling the water, but I don't want to pull it too tight over here. There we go. So that steam can go right through there. Isn't that interesting? We have just made our own still. And let me tell you what's happening here. So, the steam in the pot, what's happening is water molecules, you know, there's water molecules and they can flow around in a liquid. They can move around freely in the liquid. But when they start to heat up, they start bouncing all over off each other. And what's happening is you're raising the average kinetic energy, or the temperature of that water. And those molecules start bouncing off each other, and they need to move. They're moving. They're full of energy. And that's where we get steam. And that steam is coming up through there. What I did, by the way, on the pressure cooker is I just turned it on. I hit pressure cook after I put water in there, turned it on, and put a bunch of warm water in there, so that you can use cold water, of course, but it would take a while to be steaming up. And I didn't want this video to take so long. I wanted you to be able to see how this happens. So the steam comes out of the top of the pan, the pressure cooker, down through the tube into that cold water, and that steam is being cooled down. So that cast iron pan is helping hold that tube down in the pan. And then it comes up along here and down into this pan, and steam comes out here. I can already feel the steam coming out here, but what's happening is the steam is condensing on the top of this lid and on the sides of the pan, because this pan is in what? Cold water, right? It's cooling down and cooling down more, and then when it gets over here, and that's hot, so I might want to have a glove if I'm going to even deal with that, if I have to grab this, just to make sure I don't get burnt, right? So that steam, you see, I don't know if you can see that steam coming out of here. It's condensing all over this pan. Oh wow, there's probably already a quarter cup of distilled water in there. So what's happened is this distiller, this pressure cooker, is killing all the germs in the water, and it's evaporating the water out, but any minerals are staying in the water that's in the pan. And if I evaporate all of it, they'll be on the sides of the pan. But this is really easy to do. I hope no one will make a still to, distill, make moonshine. You certainly could. But I don't know a lot of good that comes from alcohol that's consumed. You know, how old am I? 60 years old. And I haven't had a drink of alcohol since I was 17, so it's been over 42 years. Just decided after drinking a few times in high school never to drink again. I know plenty of people that have had their lives upset and lives ruined from people that drank. You got drunk drivers, people became alcoholic. You know, if you don't drink, you won't become an alcoholic. And you can go to things like foodaddicts.org and learn, go to meetings, or Alcoholics Anonymous, and overcome addictions. You really can. You can overcome any addictions. And although I will tell you, when I was in Food Addicts a couple of years ago, I lost over 50 pounds. But then I got out of it and I started eating and gaining some of this weight back. I've gained back 30 of the 50 pounds I lost. So I'm a little bit overweight, but I'm certainly not, no one says I'm fat. But I was, and I'm going to be losing some of this weight. In fact, I'm down below 205 and hoping to get back down to 180 again. And nevertheless, we've got the water distilling here. I want you to understand how easy this is to do. I've got a funnel right here, and I grabbed a clean grape juice bottle, and I can fill that up with distilled water. And then always remember to label and put your label on. You can put some masking tape and just put distilled water and fill it up. Or I could fill this other bottle back up with more distilled water. This is a distilled water bottle from the store, right? And but if you live far from a store, you don't need to go clear into a town that's a long ways away to buy distilled water. Or if your water gets contaminated and maybe the municipality near you puts out notices and says, oh, there's bacteria in the water, E. coli something, and you can't drink the water, you can boil it. But if you have a pressure cooker, you can always distill it. And in all honesty, you can get a pressure cooker that actually works just on a gas stove, or even that's not electric, a pressure cooker, and take the weight off and do the same thing with just having a fire. You can do it on a wood stove or have a fire and just a platform set up, a grill, and use a pressure cooker and do the very same thing that I'm doing right now. And if you're outside and it's cold, you could just have this going through the cold outside and do it in the cold and have it condensing in a pan without even having to have sinks full of water. You could take water out of the toilet, you could take water out of a pond, and you can distill it. And after you distill that water is perfect to drink. It is just fine to drink and used for other purposes too. So it's been a few minutes. I guess we've been going here. Started this video over 11 minutes ago, and I want you to see that we've already got distilled water in the pan here. I'm going to turn this over a little bit, and let me bring this over here so that you can see when I pour some distilled water out of this pan. And I'm just going to pour it into a glass so that you can see, what's happening. In fact, let me lower this camera down a little bit. That way it's a little bit easier to see. So I'm going to grab this hot tube, and I'm going to pull this out of here, and it's going to be flopping around as soon as I put it down. See, look, if I show you what this does in the water, that's got hot steam coming out of there. But I'm going to pull this out so that I can set that in the seat. That's a little too noisy. I want to set it somewhere. There we go. And let's look in here and see how much distilled water we've already got. Now, I don't really want to break a glass. No, it won't be that hot because it has been condensed. It's warm. It's warm. But look at this. Pour it into this glass. Wow! I have already got the better part of a cup, probably a little less than a cup of distilled water just in the time that we've been doing this. And that could be easily poured. You can pour it right from the pan if you wait long enough, and you could fill this bottle right up. But you can also, let me just show you something else here. Like I said, the water is pure as you can get it. Distilled water. That's a little bit lukewarm, I guess. And that is pure water. So that is how you do it. You can get a latex tube, and you can buy one down probably at Walmart or, I don't know, a drugstore. You can buy some latex tubing, and you can set up your own simple little still with a pressure cooker very easily. And you thought you had to have copper tubing or something real expensive. No, you don't. You can use the same surgical tubing they use on wrist rockets. You can run it through cold air or cold water, and you can distill water very easily. So I hope this is helpful to many of you out there. Share it with others. Please give it a like if you found something, a like down below the video. And if you put some comments or questions, I'll certainly try to address those. And I got shadow banned on YouTube a few years ago for telling truths that the powers that be, very powerful people in this world, did not want told. Now I might also show you that I can just easily put the lid back on here and continue this distilling process by just putting this on. It doesn't even have to go through that. Just having it under the lid, and the distilling continues. Very, very simple. And just want you to be able to see that tube a little bit. There we go. Real easy to do. Got my own still here, and it really doesn't take very much. So put some likes down below if you haven't liked, and you can subscribe if you'd like to the channel. I'm going to be doing some other things on water purification and things that will help you. Remember, you know, my daughter says a saying I always, it's one I made up many years ago. If you live within your means, I said living within your means is the key to being honest in business, and it can help us all. If we will live within our means, we can elect people that will live within the means of the cities, the states, and the country we live in, and we can make a big difference. So thank you for any comments, for liking the channel, and if you subscribe, that is absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for all that you do. This is Rod. Live within your means and have a wonderful day.